Welcome on in and gather round, everyone. I'm Space Wizard Total War, and today we've got some more Age of Wonders 4 news. Triumph has just released Dev Diary number 51, showing off the Sunless lands, the new terrain type coming in the Thrones of Blood DLC. Let's jump right on in. We'll be finding out all about the new dark and alluring new terrain waiting to be explored. I love new terrain types in Age of Wonders 4, from the gloom to the dungeon. It doesn't really matter. I adore also all of the different kind of factions that allow you to terraform the land as well, which you can do with quite a few of them. But still, it's always fun to do. Greetings, bloodsuckers and sanguine nobles. I'm Boss, senior game designer at Triumph Studios. Today it'll be my pleasure to guide you through the dark and alluring locations of Thrones of Blood. Please keep your blood maggots on a leash during the tour. You know, they actually showed off quite a few new units, the blood maggots being one of them in the most recent dev livestream. I'm going to try to get a video up before too long here showing off all the new items that they actually had in that stream, so expect that before too long. But let's scroll on down. We've got Sunless terrain here, which it looks incredible. We have the kind of white, I don't know if they're oak trees or white pine trees, but they also have the kind of blood river flowing through and all the roses dotting the land. It looks awesome. Of course, there's always going to be both a terrain type on the campaign map and one on the tactical map as well, so hopefully later on we'll get to see how good the tactical map looks. As we knew we were going to have vampires in this DLC, we wanted to play with the trope of vampires having to avoid harmful sunlight. We also wanted to include the environments vampires are usually found in media: grim, mystical, haunting, and romantic forests, and plains backed by dark castles. Yeah, this is the most romantic forest you take. You take someone to the blood forest, they're yours for life. And probably after, too. Alright. In short, we needed a suitable gothic backdrop for our pretty and terrifying vampires. To do this on the scale of an entire realm, we came up with the Sunless terrain. A new type of terrain feature similar to gloom, so everyone is going to hate it before too long. It can be identified by its dark appearance with plenty of crimson details like roses and blood rivers. Yeah, it looks awesome. So it reminds me of the vampiric corruption from Warhammer, but in its own unique way, and it looks, I would actually say this looks a little bit better. That one kind of looks like you're sprinkling Hot Topic what am I thinking? Hot Topic props all over the place and different, like, Spirit Halloween stuff. This looks a little bit more spooky. And I do love the Blood River. That we can actually get maybe full, if we can kind of try to combine this with others, we could maybe get the River Mortis from the Land of the Dead in Warhammer Inn. That'd be awesome. Either or, I guess every river gets to be the River Mortis. Close-up shot of the Sunless terrain featuring roses and the river. Those are giant roses. Good grief, you don't even need blood. The primary function of this terrain is providing a safe haven for vampire rulers and heroes. This terrain and the entire underground are the only places on the world map where they do not suffer from sunlight weakness. Next to that, the terrain is also slightly hostile to anyone who has a beating heart. Units without Heartless have their healing and regeneration reduced, and cities of a race without Heartless suffer a steady stability penalty, which is what is going to make people despise this, adding a certain amount of dead and fatalism to the terrain. Of course, as an elder vampire, you've learned to adapt your people and are completely immune. That would be natural. Since this terrain is hostile to most except undead and vampires, it shows up in a limited amount in normal realms. If you want to cover the world of darkness, however, there is a Sunless Highlands realm trait that lets you start out in a realm with tons of sunless terrain. There are also lots of ways for vampire rulers to spread this terrain themselves through spells in a city structure, much like the Eldritch rulers. So what I mean by people aren't going to like it is just because of the city stability penalty. There are still a few ways to get rid of gloom and now sunless terrain, and I actually wouldn't be surprised if there's more ways to get rid of the sunless terrain that they just haven't discussed yet, so that's cool. Having more ways to interact with the corruption that certain factions can put on the map, it would be very good. I still adore what we've got so far. So there's the Sunless Highlands here. The great big... Seems like this moon has impacted this mountain. That seems like this is a problem. This realm consists of mountainous and sunless heartland that gets colder towards the edges. Here, that's most maps. Following province features are abundant. We got sunless, snow, and ice. Scarce be ashlands, chasm, and lava, and then they have no sand. Okay, so no Tomb Kings, vampires. Not this time. Good to note is the sunless terrain can be combined with almost all features that synergize with adaptation traits and the primal culture, so you totally can be an Arctic vampire or a dune servant. Oh, you can. Oh, that's great. So you absolutely could make, like, Neferata, and it'd be completely flavorful. Awesome. Next up, we have Sunless in Tactical Combat. As with all terrain types, Sunless will have unique visuals for the tactical combat maps, giving a creepy atmosphere when facing off against the many horrific creatures Age of Wonders 4 and Thrones of Blood has to offer. And we'll because I was assaulted by Grandfather Nurgle. Alright, this is our first kind of look at the actual tactical map, and look, we've got some different... are these actually bleeding, these trees? I love just the red leaves in general, and the pale white. I think it must be like a pale oak or something. But we've got kind of blood dripping from the leaves as well. And these kind of blue-tinged bushes. Trying to locate anything else. This just looks like a normal bush, but there are some red to that, so maybe... I have read a little bit further, so I do know there are some new, types of terrain we'll have to worry about in the maps itself. So, new terrain in tactical combat isn't just for show. There are 2 new dangerous obstacles, that's the word that was slipping my mind, found when fighting in the Sunless terrain. Rose Vines is one such obstacle. It inflicts bleeding to any unit that starts its turn or passes through it. More importantly, each Rose Vine obstacle creates a copy of itself on an adjacent hex after 1 turn. This copy will then create a copy of itself, and so on. As the battle goes on, the terrain gets slowly flooded by thorns. What a cool idea. Oh, so those weren't the rose thorns, they look like this. Yeah, that's awesome. So if you're playing as Heartless units, or anything that's immune to bleeding, you just don't care. So all the constructs actually will work out. You could make like a vampiric construct. Ooh, okay, we've got some ideas. Also, because we've got these Banshee pods here. Next to that, we have the Banshee pods. I'll say what I want to after that. These are inspired by dried out snapdragon petals, which look like miniature skulls. Banshee pods release a dreadful banshee wail when destroyed, inflicting frost damage, weaken, and remorse in a 2-hex radius. Look, these look awesome. So what I mean is, so I'm not going to take credit, but I've been talking about wanting more and more types of obstacles that you can actually either interact with the map itself, or you can detonate to either weaken your opponents that they can do to you. Something more akin to, man, back in Planetfall, there was a ton of different obstacles that you could blow up, and they would either splash acid or they would throw like void out. It was all sorts of crazy stuff. So seeing more of that in Age of Wonders 4 is incredible. Love it. Custom regions with the addition of Sunless terrain. We've also made some natural story regions using this new terrain. You can encounter these in normal realms and in increased numbers in realms with the Sunless Islands trait. These natural story regions allowed us to nicely frame the new locations to be found in Sunless, such as creepy gothic palace on the edge of a cliff overlooking the surrounding dead forests. Oh yes, you've got your kind of vampiric manor here. Awesome. It has the same kind of hexagonal... I'm not sure if this is like a garden or something, but you see that in other races too, so they may be inspired by the giants. You get kind of a smaller little garden structure here. I love the candles dotted all over. Awesome. New locations include a magic material, 2 new Ancient Wonders, and a new landmark, which, spoiler, looks amazing. Let's take a look at those now. First off, we've got Blood Glass and Thrones of Blood. We've wanted to add a new magic material that would fit with the vampires and Sunless terrain, and so Blood Glass was formed, a sort of naturally occurring stained glass crystal with bright red colors. Blood Glass is the only magic material found in Sunless terrain. New magic materials are always great. These look awesome, and we were definitely seeing a bit of a teaser of these in the trailer, as well as the Steam page that was actually kind of advertising for Thrones of Blood initially, right after that trailer dropped. I'm here for it. Blood Glass, next to its economic bonuses, also unlocks a bunch of item infusions that are linked to the new tome content of this DLC, such as the ability to inflict a new status effect called Blood Parasite, which I am going to be leaning into aggressively. What does it do? You'll have to find out in a future dev diary. They talked about it a little bit in the video. It basically is like kind of like Ghostfire is to burning. It's bleeding that also when someone dies, they have, I don't know if it's a 100% chance to turn into a maggot, but they have a chance to turn into a blood maggot, which is a new tier 1 unit, which gives you some momentum. It reminds me a lot of like a warped version of the Kirko from Planetfall. Because there was all sorts of stuff you could do that would turn people into the Kirko maggots after battles, which was awesome. Normally, new magic materials belong to a new set bonus, but we could not guarantee that enough Blood Glass would be available for a set bonus due to the limited amount of Sunless in a normal realm. Therefore, Blood Glass was added to the Ore magic material set. And the set requirements changed to requiring only 3 Ore magic materials, rather than having to collect them all. That's a very good way to do that. You can either get your Arcanium, Focus Crystals, or Fireforge, or any collection of the 3. As long as you got 3, you get your Rings of Binding, which I think is great. So Blood Glass gives us access to Blood Magic, Summoning the Undead, the Torment effect, which sounds like it is going to be... Oh, we'll zoom in a little bit here. Oh, look at this. This may be a placeholder image, but if it's not, I love it. I guess it reminds me of the kind of spires. What was it in Blood, not Bloodborne, but in Elden Ring? There's the lakes leading up to this the Magic Academy. You'll know what I'm talking about if you played. The Torment effect sounds like it is going to affect morale for sure, and then we've got the Blood Parasite, which, good stuff. Yeah, Blood Parasite already sounds like a effect that is going to be insanely good. We've got to build up a couple factions dedicated to just exploiting it to its max. Next up, we have our Ancient Wonders. Next to the magic material, 2 new Ancient Wonders emerge from the dark corners of the realm. First is the Crimson Fane, a new bronze wonder found in both Sunless and other terrain types, such as Desolate, the areas containing Ashlands, and Arctic. So this comes from Desolate and Arctic terrain. And I love to see we've got new bronze wonders. That means we are going to see this one quite often, and it looks awesome. The Crimson Fane is a sinister dungeon in which ancient rituals once took place. It grants one of the new wildlife units and allows you to sacrifice thralls, which both vampire rulers and eldritch rulers from eldritch realms can use to gain a permanent increase in casting points. This is all assuming you've dealt with the horrors found within. Can you continuously get more casting? I wonder what that exactly means. Does it mean you're refreshing your current casting points by sacrificing thralls, or does it mean you're gaining extra permanently? The second would be goofy strong, but the first would also be pretty powerful, so we'll have to see. This is what it looks like inside that dungeon. You get kind of a spruced up version of the caves. I adore the... I don't know if this is stained glass or something different, but it looks like it's something a little bit different. Almost like an obsidian walkway here. Cool. Can't see any new units just because my eyes are definitely not that good. This guy's riding on the new Rose Knight horse, which is like an armored bone horse with roses all over it. Rose Knight horse looks awesome. How many times can we say that here? Don't make it a drinking game, you might die. Next to the Crimson Fane comes the Colossal Rose Choked Palace, a new gold ancient wonder exclusive to the Sunless terrain. It grants a larger pool than usual of units to your rally of lieges when captured. It is the only way for non-vampire rulers to ignore the penalties of Sunless terrain outside of undead transformations, so be sure to watch out for vacancies. Or force them yourself. Got our Rose Choked Palace. Oh, it's like a much larger and more ornate version of the kind of story props they put up every now and again. And like I've already said, stained glass, I'm here for it. More of this. Yeah, this looks great. Very, I would say even a blend of Warhammer and Warhammer Black Classical and the kind of Castlevania style. Here for it. Here for it. These Gothic mansions are, or were once and perhaps still are, owned by vampiric nobility, but are free real estate if you manage to clear them of their squatters, or people who rightfully live there. You'll be finding them in opulent gardens full of hedge mazes and gargoyle statues. Or did I mention the overgrown rose vines are present? You can see them everywhere. The groundskeeper must have perished long ago for things to be this bad. And we'll have another cut I turtle off into nowhere there. So yeah, taking a look at this wonder map, this is incredible. And the roses are absolutely everywhere, and just kind of taking a look, the fire, any of your kind of necromancy, not necromancy, obviously, pyromancy spells, or any of the fire damage types that are going to allow you to apply burning to terrain is going to be pretty much the only way to get through here and not have to worry about bleeding, because these roses are going to go crazy. You can also hold Alt and I think attack the rose bushes directly, so you should be able to clear them. Regardless, though, this, I'm just going to move the mouse around because I'm blown away. This looks awesome. This is easily one of the best looking wonders they've got. Archon Prophecies had they've got even more stained glass back here. Archon Prophecies had one of the best looking ones before. It had all of the, like I said, stained glass. It had like shadow on one side and light on the other. And the kind of light was pouring through, and it would put kind of the different light fractals on the ground. This one looks incredible for a much different way, all spooky and it just looks great. We got gargoyles, we got rose hedges, and a blood fountain. I'll quit being crazy over a single picture and we'll move right on to the landmark. Lastly, the grandest thing to find within the new Sunless lands is the Thorn Heart landmark. Look at this thing. Just a great big tree stump with a beating heart inside. Oh, and that's actually pumping blood into the earth itself. A grotesque giant heart beating and spreading its crimson veins across the lands. This landmark can be present in any realm with Sunless, but is more likely present in realms with the Sunless Highlands realm trait. So as long as they're Sunless, it can be here, but if you have the Sunless Highlands, there's more likely to be this landmark. It grants a large amount of resources to adjacent provinces, but annex too much and it'll start spreading Sunless terrain all around and within your city's domain. If you're a vampire ruler or happen to gain the Rose Choke Palace, this dangerous effect can be turned in your favor. Yeah, just a really, really fast way to build up that Sunless terrain. Following the blood rivers upstream, my orcs found the literal heart of the Sunless lands, beating within the trunk of a defiled world tree. Oh, that's what that is. How does one corrupt a world tree? Soon after, they succumbed to the blood parasites devoured from within. Some say the heart's infection is a curse from the ancient times. Others call it the vile progeny of vampiric cults. Me, I call it perfection. Oh good, Carissa's back. Oh good. Provinces adjacent to this landmark gain 5 food, 5 mana, and a farm in this province grants you knowledge additionally. That's a ton of resources, they're correct. The city with 3 provinces, though, is going to start gaining some terraforming, so 1 province within a 5 province radius of its domain per turn. Sunless loses Gloom, so man, if you have the Eldritch domain and you'd rather deal with the Sunless nonsense than the Eldritch nightmares, then there you go. City's Empire gains the Parasitic Contamination. See, that sounds bad. Everyone gets inflicted with maybe blood parasites every single turn in combat. Oh, I can't wait. Regardless, getting the threshold bonus will always let you benefit from the new combat enchantment. Oh, maybe you can see it if I scroll down. Am I just a fool? Excuse me, what's going on here? I'll have to try to read here. When fighting in provinces with Sunless. I don't know if it's they say it's for its a benefit from a new combat enchantment, so interesting. That affects all of your enemies while fighting in Sunless terrain and anywhere in the realm. So even if your units aren't too keen about fighting in Sunless, your enemies will still have it worse. And that's what I was thinking. Even if you're not really great at being in the Sunless terrain yourself, it's still better than the Gloom. And there you have it. Creepy new terrain and dreadful new locations all available to you to stalk around in when Thrones of Blood drops, 11th of November. Be sure to rise from your coffin next week when Louis returns to reveal the bloody and tormenting tomes of Thrones of Blood. And the tomes are my absolute favorite part. Yeah, what was your though favorite part of this dev blog? The terrain itself, the new obstacles in that terrain, our new Highlands realm trait, or was it the new wonders? My favorite is easily the landmark. Look at this thing, just this great big beating heart. Fantastic job, whoever was in charge of designing this. All of it's great, but that's my favorite. That's gonna be all for me today, though. Thank you all so much for stopping on by today's Age of Wonders Dev Diary Deep Dive. If you all enjoyed the video, please do remember to leave a like for the like god and a sub for the sub zone. I'll see you all in the next one.